Why, hello there, and welcome back to Joygasm, where we chat about video games, movies, and pop culture. I'm Russ, Xbox Live Toaster 360. He's Steve, Xbox Live Stevavitch, and this is episode 81 today, July 22nd, 2018. This particular episode is going to be dedicated toward San Diego Comic-Con 2018. And we'll be jumping into that in just a moment. In fact, we're going to be actually getting a phone call. Well, we're going to be calling our good old friend Brad, who was actually at Ground Zero going through the whole rigmarole of the entire event. Unfortunately, neither Steve or myself was able to actually go this year, but we'll be able to get kind of a nitty-gritty of sorts when we chat with him. However, I suppose we could just get into what we've been up to so far this week. Steve, how you doing?
Well, Russ, I'm glad I've yet to get sick from you, although that might change after today. I don't know how much of this virus is still lingering in this room, let alone your house.
You never know. You're quite the brave soul to be venturing back into Mikasa.
Yeah. There's something amiss in the air. I can't smell it, but I know it's present.
Yes, we'll see if you're a big pile of snot in about 4 days.
Yeah, hopefully not. I mean, if that were to be the case, I would have to get it early so I can get over it early, because I'm going to be in Canada the first weekend in August. So I don't want to be like trying to be romantic and dripping my slobber and snot and
play some tonsil hockey and you end up hocking up a loogie and passing it over.
Yeah.
That's what keeps relationships together, Steve.
You want to play catch? No, but otherwise, let's see. I've watched a couple things. I pilfered, Halo 5 from you. And so I'm nearing completion of that. And I must say that it's a lot better than Halo 4.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. No, I'm not kidding. I hated Halo 4.
Oh, man. See, I'm the opposite. I loved Halo 4. I really was disappointed in Halo 5.
Yeah, I didn't care for Halo 4 whatsoever. I started playing it again on the Master Chief Collection, and I just didn't have the will to even pass the first level. I thought, I can't do it. I'm done. But no, I don't know if it's more like the graphics boost or the better level design or whatever it is. I don't know. I am enjoying it more than I did Halo 4.
Well, there you have it.
So, I mean, I won't get into that. There are some things I don't care for. I mean, they still aren't quite to the Bungie level of like Halo 1, 2, and 3. But I do see it as an improvement.
Jeez. You and I are very opposite on that one.
Yeah, I know. You like the new race of enemies that we're fighting. I wanted them to go finish that they started with the brutes. I didn't think that was all wrapped up yet, but yeah, this new race, this new species, I don't know. They don't seem, I don't know, biological. It just seems like they're AI, mechanical, slapped together. I don't know. It doesn't seem like it's like with the Covenant. You knew that was a threat. You knew it was real. Like it was this alien existence. With the brutes, same thing. Even with what were those germy-looking dudes? The
Flood?
The Flood.
The germy-looking dudes? Yeah. The ones who had a bad day blowing their nose.
Yeah, even those guys, you knew that they were biological, they were living creatures, and they came from somewhere. It just seems like this new alien species. What if it's just... maybe it's
Forerunner?
Forerunner, whatever. Toyota.
You're a moron.
So... I'm just not really into it. But anyway, so been playing that quite a bit, and let's see, I didn't want to get to the level of pissed offness that you got to, so I'm not playing it on legendary mode. I'm playing it on hard.
Hard as in heroic.
Heroic, yeah. So I think I'm almost done with it. I feel like the story is about wrapped up.
That's good, Steve.
Anyway, You're looking at your phone, looking at me. Is Brad waiting already, or what?
Well, I did tell him that we would be contacting him momentarily, so I'm making sure I have him queued up, which I do. So please continue.
Well, let's see. So when the parents were visiting,
the parental units,
the parentals, Dad wanted to watch Total Recall with me.
Dear old Dad.
And so we rented it. We
watched
it.
This is the original.
This is the
Arnold
original
Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yes. Schwarzenschnitzel, as he likes to.
2 weeks. It's like one of the best parts.
2 weeks. Man, I tell you, those movies that were rated R back then, those action movies, those were violent movies.
Yes, they were.
I mean, if you compare that with rated R, what's violent today, dude, there's almost no comparison. Like, people were getting blown to bits and blood splattering here and there, and
it was a bit more sensationalized back then than it is today.
It's crazy. But story is still good. I still enjoyed it as a movie.
Hey, man.
I got 5 kids to feed. I think towards the end, though, they were so drawn out when they're get thrown out of that oxygen thing, and they're just gasping.
They're exposed to the Mars atmosphere.
Okay, let's go. Let's finish it up. Okay. But the story was great. I mean, as far as stories go,
it's a classic.
Originality, yeah, for sure. So let's see. And then I watched that Apple movie that I let you borrow that you have yet to turn back in. You've had it for 2 weeks. That's great.
Yes, I find it kind of I don't know. It's surprisingly amusing in a way that the family is so obsessed over whether or not I have watched it, and every time I said no, I have not had a chance to watch it, that then the immediate response is, well, just send it over here and we'll watch it. It's kind of like, you guys, I'll watch it. It's not that I'm not going to watch it. Well, I am going to watch it. I'm a busy man.
I need to put it back in the mail, Russ.
Why is that?
Because
is it a time limit thing?
Yeah, I'm paying to have 3 DVDs sent to me, and so you're holding on to this one, which means I'm paying for 3, getting 2.
I see. Well, I will make it a point to watch it this week.
Thank you.
Just to make sure you get your full money's worth.
One thing that I wish they did in the movie, they interview a lot of the original.
It's good to see you,
core Apple stuff. It's good to see you too,
you know, just looking at you, you haven't been here in a while. You have excused yourself.
Yeah,
perhaps even recused yourself in certain capacities due to the fact that my family has had the head cold of July.
Indeed.
Anyway, I did not mean to completely derail you. What were you saying?
Yes, you did. Well, I was going to say that I've seen a few of these different Apple movies, Macintosh movies, whatever, and no one ever really interviews Wozniak. Like, why doesn't anybody take Wozniak aside? Everyone has high praise for Wozniak. He sounds like just the guy you'd love to be friends with, pick their brain a little bit. Like, he's honest, sincere. I mean, everyone has nothing but good things to say about him. But I wonder why all these Apple movies are made and they all talk about Steve Jobs and they don't bring Woz in.
Well, the Woz tends to be a bit more of a reclusive type. He'll come out every once in a while for like an interview or little things here and there, but he really wasn't much into the spotlight like Steve Jobs was. Steve Jobs was all about the attention.
Well, yeah,
he was all about being the glorified salesperson. And so, I think it's a little, I'd be curious to hear more of Steve Wozniak's perspective on things. I mean, he definitely had a ginormous impact on the success of Apple. So.
Right.
Well, that's cool, Steve.
And let's see, the only other thing, I started to season 2 of Black Sails with all the Sea of Thieves we've been playing, so I got back on board with that one. So anyway, started season 2 and going to be continuing that one. And that's about it for me, Russ. So what about you?
So other than playing some Sea of Thieves with you, as well as a little Overwatch, I really haven't played a whole lot of games because I have been involved with building the set backdrop for Joygasm. And of course, this is going to be used when we finally make the big move to video, as of course right now we're just limited to audio. We're doing the podcast thing.
Limited to money too, Russ. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, the budget, of course, prevents us from being able to make that move as quickly as we would normally like. So we're trying to approach it with a more of a frugal kind of perspective of things. However, where we are right now, though, is I'm really excited about it. It's funny because this past weekend has been extremely hot here in Texas. We've had temperatures that range from 106 to 112 degrees, depending on the time of day. And I thought to myself, well, what better day to be in the garage and have it be an oven where you're working doing hard manual labor than a day like today. And so it was a lot of fun having my father-in-law come over. He's a builder. He's very experienced in this area. And so he is helping me realize this fun idea that we will be using. And it involves a lot of 4x4s and
nails.
No nails yet. But got to tap back into kind of the wood shop days. And so it was fun to be able to go back in, use, I can't remember if it's called a miter saw or a bandsaw. I'm terrible when it comes to this
Something that cuts and is sharp.
Exactly. Makes a lot of noise and a lot of sawdust. Which, by the way, is particularly fun when you are sweating profusely and you have sawdust caked on top of your sweaty body. It's very fuzzy wuzzy was a bear kind of thing. It's very interesting.
Sawdust is like sand. It kind of gets in every little...
It does.
Yeah, nook and cranny.
Actually, in my situation, I experienced what it's like to get it inside your eyeball.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a little irritating.
You didn't wear any protection, Russ?
Well, at first I was thinking I'll just like man my way through it. I'll just deal with it, whatever. And after about the 10th block of wood that just completely sprayed me in the face with wood chips and sawdust, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go get some eye gear.
At first I thought I'm gonna cut this. I'll just close my eyes, and therefore nothing's gonna hit my eye, And then I lost a finger,
and then I realized, okay, go to the hospital. But anyway, it's been a really fun experience, just despite how hot it has been. I don't know. I've been enjoying it. I've been loving it. It's been a really fun opportunity to be able to make something physical. It's going to be like for instance, of course, our listeners can't see what we see, but in the room that we are in right now, if you look at the wall, it's going to be 7 feet long and 7 feet high. So we're going to have it so it's going to appear as though it's kind of like floating on the wall, which is going to be really, really cool. But the idea behind it is that, have you ever seen a skyline diffuser?
Yes.
So it's in the same visual approach as a skyline diffuser. For those of you who don't know what a skyline diffuser is, oftentimes a lot of audio engineers, people who are very hardcore into making like just the best kind of studio for music, if you're recording music or if you're doing podcasts, singing, whatever it is, oftentimes you'll have these and they're made up of these different sized blocks of wood. And so the idea is that as sound waves come through the speaker or wherever it's coming from and it hits up against the skyline diffuser, it helps to actually kind of dissipate the sound in such a way where, like, if you have like kind of like an average room, the sound waves kind of bounce and reverb all over the room. That's what causes all the echoes. This helps to help. It's weird. It's like it almost confuses the sound waves, if you will, in a way where, like, when it hits against it, it starts to bounce off of all these different angles and sides that the blocks have. And so because you have different depths of each one of the rectangular blocks, it helps to just kind of almost absorb the sound in a kind of a unique way. So we are going to have that as a big visual element behind us when we go to video and people can see it. And it's going to be lit up in a fun way and everything else. But it's a big first step. We still have a lot to do, but I thought it'd be fun to be able to kind of give you, as well as everybody else, kind of an update as to what's going on, because we've been talking about it periodically here and there. And of course, we're not video yet.
We've been setting a goal and then resetting the goal and then just not caring about the date anymore.
We just keep we just keep missing the date over and over again. But I do think it is important to let everybody know that, hey, we are very much actively trying to push this through. And I've been taking some pictures, some video and stuff, and I'll be posting that up on our Patreon page so that all of our patrons can actually get an insider look as to the process of what we're doing. So, and maybe if you're lucky enough, Steve, I'll show you too.
Thanks, Ross.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I'm going to enlist your help to perhaps do some sanding because we need to make sure it is splinter free. Don't want you getting poked.
That's something I'm very good at. Sanding.
Sanding? Mm-hmm. You do that a lot? Is that on your resume, Steve?
Yeah. Additional skills and certifications. Sander.
I mean, it's going to be a labor of love, but it is a part of the overall passion project that is Joygasm. And so I'm going to be really happy once everything's put together and we can actually just share it with everybody. So that's kind of the gist of what I've been doing. I've really not been able to do a whole lot else other than, of course, with Sea of Thieves, we are going through trying to get all the doubloons with the current Bilge Rat statue mermaid situation, in which I think I'm now around like 82 out of 100 for the final one in order to score 50 doubloons. So we'll have to see if I can get all 100 before the time is up, which I believe is going to be on Tuesday. I've been told from other gaming buddies that Tuesday or Wednesday of this coming week is probably going to be when it ends.
Well, I better get on it.
Absolutely. So let's go jump with both feet into our San Diego Comic-Con topic of the day. And as I mentioned earlier in the program, our good old friend Brad actually went there. He was able to experience everything. So I thought it would be fun for us to actually give him a call and actually hear it directly from him as to just what he thinks of just how everything went. So I'm going to try and FaceTime him via audio, and we'll see if we're able to get in touch with him here.
Oh, Russell, how are you?
I'm good, Bradley. How are you?
Oh, I'm tired.
Are you happy and tired?
I am. There we go. It was a fun Comic-Con, but it's freaking tiring.
How many steps did you walk, would you say, per day?
Oh, I wrote it down because I remember we talked about that last year. So 68,000 steps between Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
68,000.
And then another 10,000 today. So it was basically just under 29 miles between Thursday and Saturday.
Wow.
So, yeah, fun.
Now, in retrospect from last year, do you recall? I almost want to say that was probably pretty close to how much you walked last year.
It feels like that's about in the same ballpark. It seems like it's always kind of 20 to 24,000 steps a day.
Yeah.
Which doesn't sound too bad, but we've decided it's the shuffle walk and it's the standing that just kills you. It's you're wall to wall people, so you're not able to take real steps, and you just stand in the same place for hours.
I remember
literally.
The standing is what killed me too. Like the walking was like, okay, I could kind of deal with the walking, but the standing, it's like when you actually are standing for 1 hour or 2 hours or 3 hours, all of a sudden I think like the blood starts to kind of, I don't know if it's pooling at my feet or what, but it starts to really get painful after a while. But
I'm not sure that's how blood works, but yeah, we'll go with that.
I get a little stiff in the leg department there.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's like, it's not like you stand still and all your blood goes to your feet and your head shrinks, but I get what you're saying there.
Just so you know, too, good old Steve is here.
Sup, Brad?
What's going on, Mr. Perkins 2?
So I thought it'd be fun to be able to perhaps, I know you probably saw an absolute ton, but I was hoping that we could take it like day by day, but just kind of what were the kind of the highlights of Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Because I don't believe you were there on Wednesday, if I remember correctly.
You know, we did outside stuff today, and we did not do preview night. So we actually did some cool off-site stuff today, so I can definitely fill in kind of what we did there. But that would be good.
I would say let's start with Thursday. So you get there, your hotel, if I remember correctly, you guys actually got a hotel that was farther away this year. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, we've been lucky over the years, and we figured this is our 9th time going, and I think...
They're hardcore, dude.
I know, but good grief, 9 times.
9 times, and we're expecting both of you guys out here next year, by the way. But, I think 6 of the 9 years we've been, one of the surrounding hotels right by the convention center. So we've been spoiled. Absolutely. So this one, we were all of a mile and a half away. I mean, it's not that far. So walking it in the morning wasn't bad. But at the end of the day, after putting 9, 10, 11 miles on your feet and having a bunch of crap that you bought that you're carrying, mile and a half seems like a marathon.
Did you end up Ubering back to the hotel at all?
No, so we actually so Comic-Con has a really cool shuttle system, and when you book a hotel through On Peak, which is kind of the Comic-Con official, hotel people, like $2 a day goes towards the shuttle. And so we've been paying into the shuttle for 9 years and never set foot on it.
I was going to say, I don't remember us taking this at all.
Well, dude, we were like, you wouldn't take a shuttle for the hotels we were at when you used to come out, right?
Well, can you use them for restaurants?
No, so it's literally a shuttle route. Think of it like a bus route, right? It picks you up. We were on the pink line, so you'd get on the pink shuttle, and it would go to the embassy, which I think you and I stayed at once. But nobody ever took it to the embassy, just too close, and then it would, do the loop up the street, drive the extra 2/3 of a mile, and it would stop at the Spring Hill Suites, which was where we were at this year. We used the shuttle going back, and man, I got to tell you, I mean, it's from when we got on the shuttle, which first of all, air conditioned, which is a great thing.
Oh, nice.
To when we were getting off at the hotel, it was like 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, real quick, real easy. So it worked well for us to walk in the morning to the convention and then just take the shuttle back at the end of the day. And that was that's what we did every day this week. And it worked really well.
Oh, good.
It was good.
Did it bring you there at 4 a.m. so you can stand in line?
So it actually does run 24 hours.
24 hours. That's great.
So they run 24 hours. They only run, during crazy ass time, it's like every half hour or 45 minutes. But, during the convention itself from like 8 a.m. till 8 p.m, it's like every 15 minutes. I mean, it's just constant. Yeah. This year, the big change, and we'll segue this into talking about Thursday. The big change was how Comic-Con handled exclusives, both from a shopping standpoint and from an autograph standpoint. So in the past, as Steve was making fun of me a little bit there, getting in line at 4 a.m.
I could never do it. I could never do it.
That was a late morning, was 4 a.m. I mean, it's it's 11 at night, 10 at night. We did a 5 p.m. once for the next day.
We totally need to torture Steve. Whenever we get him out there, we're gonna have him spend the night on the grass.
No. What I'm gonna do, because I'm not a morning person. We want to see a real Walking Dead zombie, then wake me up in the middle of the morning. I am like not the. So what I would do is I would stay up all night for you guys, because that's easy for me. I'm a night owl. No problem. And then someone can take over, like, at 7 a.m. or something. I'll go back and sleep. I'll be like, okay, pick me up, whatever. And that'll be that.
Well, everything changed this year, though. So partially in an effort to control lines, partially in a security for security. All of the exclusives that we used to camp out for went online lottery. So in the past, we would get in line at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., whatever it might be, with the goal of going in and drawing an autograph ticket or trying to get a Hasbro ticket, or some people in the group would try to get into Funko or whatever it was. There was none of that anymore. That was gone. So those lines in the morning that used to wrap under all of these tents and then all the way back by the marina, those were gone. Those lines really didn't exist.
Oh my gosh, that must be just a crazy, I don't know, because everyone, especially for you guys, for going 9 years in a row, you get conditioned to see that over and over and over again when you see those like huge lines. And now you're telling me that there were no lines at all. There was no line wrapping around the dock or harbor area, anything?
So not for the exclusive. So they do two lines. So you've got one, which is what they call everything else, which is basically everything except for Hall H. Hall H being the big presentation room where they've got 5,000 people in there to hear about the big movies and all that. Mm-hmm. That line was still there. Hall H still had their big old line. That piece didn't change. But the everything else line, so that could be getting on the floor, it could be going for the exclusives, it could be going to Ballroom 20 or any of the other panels. That line was still there, but basically non-existent compared to prior years. So because all of the exclusives had gone to an online lottery, the only reason to line up would be to get a better spot to get onto the floor early, or if you wanted to get into Ballroom 20. So it really, I would say 80% of the people who used to line up stupid early didn't line up stupid early this year.
Yeah.
Even there were only 6 of us in our core group that were there. I would say most mornings folks were arriving at like 8:45, 9 o'clock. And you just kind of, walk right in the door, you get in line to get on the floor, and that was it.
How different is that?
I'll tell you, sitting in the hotel room at 7 a.m. on a Comic-Con day did not register with my brain. By that point, I'm used to having been in line for multiple hours. Mm-hmm. So sitting there and going, okay, we're setting the alarm for 6 a.m. Are we sure that's what we want to do? Yeah, I think so. It was totally bizarre.
I think that the silver lining of that, though, is just, I guess nobody was tired during the entire Comic-Con experience.
It changed. It changed the entire week. Certainly still tired, but it's really more just the, all the blood rushing to your feet tired.
Yeah.
As opposed to the, I only got 2 hours of sleep tired. As a result, some of our friends went to a fairly big party on Friday night. We went to a comedy show last night. I mean, there's just, stuff that we never would have done before simply because of being up at 2 or 3 in the morning.
Right.
We were able to do some of those evening things. So that was pretty cool.
So let's go into Thursday. So you get there, you get registered, everything else. Tell me about what were some of the big dealios on Thursday for you.
So we drove down on Thursday morning, which was also a change for us. Usually, we've spent the night on Wednesday, but we're, cutting it back a little bit this year. It's like, let's just drive down Thursday. So drove down, got down there about 7:30 in the morning and called our hotel. And they're like, yeah, your room's ready. Come check in. All right, cool. Didn't expect that at 7:30 in the morning, but no complaints. So got checked in. We walked out to the convention center. One of the other changes from when you used to go, Russ, is they actually mail you your badges.
Right. Now. Oh, they mail it to you now. You don't have to pick them up.
No. So yeah, there is no registration on site. The only thing you do is you go and you pick up your bag and you pick up your lanyard and that's it. But
how are the bags this year? Do they have any cool looking bags?
They did. It's WB sponsored the bags again, like they have every year that I'm aware of in the recent past here. So, there were some of the newer shows. You've got some Legends of Tomorrow, Flash. Some of the older ones like your Supernatural, Arrow. All of their big shows were on the bags. But they also started last year doing pins, which is kind of cool. So we got a couple Joker pins, we got a Wonder Woman pin, and a Green Arrow pin.
Is it just like a commemorative, like, oh, here's the 2018 pin?
It's exactly. It's just kind of a little character pin, and there's 12 different ones, and that's about it. So pretty straightforward. But yeah, so it was cool. It was easy. We got in, started, just really walked the floor on Thursday. Didn't have a whole lot planned or a whole lot scheduled, which unfortunately for the excitement of the podcast here, a lot of the story you're going to hear is we walked the floor and just kind of wandered around. In the past we would do a lot of signings and try to get into a lot of those, and with that all going lottery, that is no longer that was not something we focused on.
And you guys had a rough go of the whole raffle system. I don't think you guys manage to get anything at all or not?
So my family of 4, everybody put in for roughly the same stuff and figured, okay, if we don't hit, if I get something that my wife wanted, we can do the trading, whatever, right? Uh-huh. So we put in roughly about 80 things per person. Now that sounds crazy, but it's like, oh, you want a time slot at Hasbro? Yes. Okay, here are the 12 different options. And it's like, I'll just put in for all of them. I don't really care which time slot I get, right? Mm-hmm. So 80 sounds like a crazy number, but, honestly, 50 of those were probably shopping, time slots. You just had to put in for multiple for each spot. Mm-hmm. I hit 0 out of 80. One of my kids hit 0 out of 80. My other son hit 1 out of the 80, which was basically he got a shopping slot at UCC distributors for like $12.30 on Friday. Uh-huh. So at this point, we're like, what is that? 1 for 240. Awesome average there. My wife is the one who got lucky. She actually hit 3 things. So she got a signing with Krypton, the Amazon Prime exclusive show, kind of the before Superman. What was Krypton like? Mm-hmm. So she got that one for Saturday. She got a Lego Deadpool minifig, which is really cool. And then she also hit another Lego, which was a Aquaman and Storm exclusive Lego. So
that's cool too.
She hit 3 pretty good things. So yeah, we kind of went, okay, hers isn't bad, but then we kind of looked at the other 3 of us and went, wow, that was awful. Mm-hmm. Our other 4 friends who went, they each hit one thing. They each hit a different Lego, purchase option thing. But that's it. So, out of roughly 640 entries that the 8 of us put in, I think we hit 8 things. So, the odds changed. The event changed. But again, not necessarily a bad thing, just a change.
So I got a question because, I've never been to one of these things. So I have ideas going in my mind of, okay, you spend money to fly out there, you spend money on the hotel, you spend all this time in line, and then it's like a toss up of like, okay, I have a set amount of stuff I want to see or get or buy or whatever. And it's like, okay, here's 12 things. Maybe you'll get them. Maybe you might not get any of them. And so I think, man, if I don't get anything, that means I'm spending all this money and time to wait in line, and then I'm basically just walking the floor at that point if I don't get anything I wanted to get, coming in there. Am I wrong, or is it kind of like that? Or
so it depends. You have to go in fairly open-minded, and I think that really is the key. So, if you sit down
and spend a bunch of money, or I can go open-minded into Comic-Con and might not get anything either.
But yeah, you could absolutely, you could drop. For a family of 4, I'll tell you. It's this is like a $4,000 trip. It is not. This is not cheap. So yeah, you can absolutely drop. For one person, $1,500 between flights and hotels and everything else. and you could walk out with none of the stuff that was on your list. But I guarantee if you go in open-minded, you're going to have a good time. You're going to find something fun to do.
That is very true. Like, one of the big things about San Diego Comic-Con is that it is, at least when I went, it was impossible to be able to see everything because there was just so much happening at the same time. Like, you had to literally pick and choose what you wanted to see, and then the stuff that you missed, hopefully you either had a friend that went and saw it, you could talk to them about it, or you would find out through, like, I don't know, IGN.com or other places that actually would cover the event.
So 100%. I mean, you're right on there, Russ. That hasn't changed a whole lot. It's actually gotten worse because a lot of the, back when you went, the off-site stuff was like, oh, hey, here's a couple of the old Batmobiles. Take a picture with them, right? And that was it. There are now off-site events that cover the entire back of the convention center, across the street. I mean, there's probably 15 or 20 different off-site events that you can do that you might love. We did, and I know we're bouncing around a little bit, but too bad. So we'll talk about Sunday, then we'll go back to Thursday. So today we did some off-site stuff, and we did the and I'm going to butcher this. I can't remember how you guys say it. Overwatch? No,
Overwatch.
There you go.
Steve can do it. Come on, Steve.
Overwatch.
There you go.
So we did the Overwatch payload tour.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
Which is pretty cool. So that was an offsite over at the Omni Hotel.
Cool.
You go up into one of their ballrooms, and you wait in line as you are wont to do at Comic-Con, and then you get up there, and they've got like replicas of some of the weapons and the shields and the different stuff. They put you on a spinning platform with a green screen behind you, and you and your friends all spin around, and you're kind of doing the victory poses. So yeah. We did that today. That was an offsite. I never would have thought that I would have as much fun as I had doing that little payload tour and looking at the video. And it's like, oh my God, that was so cool.
Did they give you a copy of the video?
Of course. So that way you can share it on your social media. So that way you can hashtag Overwatch payload tour.
Absolutely.
So, promotional for them. But yeah, it was a lot of fun, and they had a guy there dressed up as Grill Master 76, and
nice.
Just so it's little things like that really have expanded in the last 2 or 3 years that you really, you don't want to miss, but you don't know what all's out there.
That is the one thing that has always confused me about San Diego Comic-Con is that there really isn't like a place to go where everybody has all of their information posted. It's almost like the day of they do kind of like this organic style marketing where they'll kind of let something out of the bag and then it's kind of word of mouth, or maybe you'll just happen to stumble upon it. And it's always kind of confused me because I, for one, would love to be able to know precisely what is going to be shown, especially considering that, like, what to your point, Brad, the convention experience has gone beyond the San Diego building and now the hotels, which there are several hotels that are kind of within, like you said, like kind of a 1 to 2 mile radius of the convention center itself. They are playing host to several companies. I mean, I know that, like, I think Microsoft had a presence at one of the hotels. Sony had another presence at another hotel, and they deck it out. They really go all out with all their decorations, and then you get to play, of course, a bunch of cool games. They'll oftentimes give you like some cool posters and that sort of thing, but it's not limited to gaming, mind you. Like, they also have different movie studios that decide they want to do it. It's really interesting to see this thing kind of trending as it has been for the last several years. I suppose a question I would have for you, Brad, is this year, have you noticed that it has expanded even further than previous years, or has it kind of stayed the same now?
I would say that over the last, it's about the same as it's been for the last 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
Feels like it really expanded about 3 years ago, and it stayed about at the same size. But no, I mean, it's FX takes over the lawn between the convention center and the Bayfront. they've got different things going for all their different shows. You know, we did one for Legion today. We did one for Cosmos. They had something set up for Mayans. You know, American Horror Story. You know, they probably had 8 or 10 different things set up that you could do just on the lawn between the convention center and the Hilton Bayfront Hotel there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, across the street, Walking Dead had an area they called Dead Quarters with a huge slide. They had, you know, a thing where it's like you're putting walkers into a grinder and there's blood and guts coming out. There was a South Park escape room across the street. DC for their new unlimited streaming service that's coming up later this year.
Oh, I didn't know they even had that.
Yeah. Oh man, that was their big one of their big pushes here. So DC Universe, it's kind of what they're calling it, and it's going to have, you know, you'll be able to download comics, you'll be able to watch some of the movies. They're going to have original content, you name it.
And this is all going to be on like DCComics.com or what?
No, it's a separate, you know, think of it like a Hulu or a Netflix, right?
Okay. But they haven't actually said like what the name's going to be.
Completely separate app.
Oh.
So yeah, it just, you know, yet another subscription service that I'm sure you'll put $10 a month into, because that's the world we all live in now, right?
Of course.
So, but they had, you know, they had an offsite event. Castle Rock, the new Hulu show, kind of based in the Stephen King universe. They had a big presence there. Sci-Fi had some stuff going on. So yeah, I mean, there were just a ton of different offsites, you know, whether it's TV, movie, you know, everything.
Now, I noticed that over the course of the time that you were there, you did send me some pictures of some different video game companies that you did visit, one of which was BioWare. BioWare had a presence there, and of course, they were pushing Anthem. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So yeah, that was actually, you know, they just were doing a signing. So some of the crew from Anthem were there, including Casey Hudson and a couple of the other folks, and you know, just doing a little bit of promotion with the Dark Horse people. So yeah, it was cool. I got to get a signing with those folks, and then at the same time, or right after that, there was a God of War signing at the same booth. So that worked out well.
That's so cool. And then of course you got Corey's signature on that one, right?
Yeah, he was very, very, very friendly. I was very appreciative because I loved that game.
Yeah.
But yeah, got an autograph from him on a pretty cool God of War poster there.
And did I hear you correctly? You said that this was going on at the Dark Horse booth, or? Yeah,
so they've got some comic tie-ins with both BioWare and with God of War. So that's kind of how they ended up there. Did they have their own booths separate from Dark Horse? No. So as far as kind of video games go, you know, Nintendo had a booth where they had Smash running. Microsoft had a booth, but it was all merchandise this year, no games. And then PlayStation had a small booth with just a, you know, just merchandise as well. Beyond that, Square Enix always has a pretty decent sized presence. Mm-hmm. You know, their big push was the Kingdom Hearts game. That was actually, you had to show up bright and early in the morning and get a ticket to come back at some later time in the day. So I didn't ever get a chance to play that one, but I watched a little bit of that. Mm-hmm. And they had Shadow of the Tomb Raider and then the new Dragon Quest up there as well.
How did the Shadow of the Tomb Raider game look?
It looks amazing. It looks amazing. I cannot wait for September.
Steve always teases me. He always says how I'm just absolutely infatuated with bow and arrow games, which, I mean, it is true. I love my bow and arrow games.
There have been some good bow and arrow games over the last few years.
There has.
I mean, that's not a knock. I mean, those are good games.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shadow of the Tomb Raider looks amazing. You know, I stood in line for a little while to play it. And the problem was the demos they were letting folks play ran about 45 minutes.
Oh my gosh.
Like, yeah, exactly. So you start looking at the watch and going, okay, there's 3 stations. Okay. I'm number 4 in line, and those guys just started playing. So I'm not touching a controller for an hour and a half. I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good.
Yeah, I couldn't do it. I mean, it would depend on the game. Like, that's a long time though. 45-minute wait.
Yeah, no, dude, that's an hour and a half wait. I mean, that's 45-minute demo, which means I'm not in on the next round, so it's going to be an hour and a half.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So that was where I kind of went, yeah, I think I'm good. I'm going to be buying that game anyways. But I stood there and watched for about 10 minutes just to kind of get a feel for it.
Sure.
It looks a lot like the last two,
which is awesome.
Looks better just from a visual standpoint. They've got the lighting effects and everything have really stepped up. But it looks like another Tomb Raider game, which is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, did you actually get a look at Anthem?
So Anthem, they had a video running, but that was it, and it was the same stuff from E3. So nothing really new there. Now, on the video game note, though, I did get to play Spider-Man on the PS4.
Oh, okay. So I want to know all about this. Is it good?
So, first of all, the web swinging is amazing.
Nice.
It's fast. It's responsive. You've got a couple different things you can do as you're swinging to kind of speed yourself up or, shift where you're at. If you run into a building, you just hold R2 and you can actually run all the way up the side of the building. So very fluid, very fast on the movement, which was one of my concerns because there have been some Spider-Man games where the web swinging doesn't necessarily work all that well, right? So very much enjoyed that. The combat was very Arkham,
which I expected, honestly.
Yeah, it's Arkham, but it's faster, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's very fluid. The difference is, in Arkham, and this is something that I think you're going to have to train your brain on, right? So in Arkham, when you go in and you're fighting a bad guy and then all of a sudden he gets the little squiggly lines over his head, you go, okay, I've got to counter. I've got to get ready to block.
Right.
Well, on this one, you've got to be looking at Spider-Man because he gets his Spidey sense and that's when it tells you that you've got to block.
That's cool. I like that though.
It is, but when you're playing a demo, you're just kind of going, wait, what? Oh, shoot. Okay. Because you automatically default to the old Arkham games that I've played many, many hours of. And I kept looking at the wrong people and I'd get hit and I'm like, oh, so really smooth, looks great. Cannot wait to, for September when, of course, that comes out on September 7th, followed by Tomb Raider on September 14th.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, I got nothing to play right now, but September I've got a bunch of stuff. So,
now, I also saw, too, that they were teasing a brand new PS4 Pro system. Steve, have you seen this?
No, I have not seen it, Russ.
It looks really cool. Like the system itself is like that Spider-Man red color, and then on the main face of it is the white spider icon, and then of course the controller matches with the red and kind of white and silver and stuff. You should actually look on your phone while we're talking about it because I don't own a PS4 Pro. I just have a PS4. But looking at that, I was thinking that's a really cool collector's item. I think I may have to pick that up.
So it's funny you said that because when I saw it, I went, okay, time to upgrade my my regular PS4 for a Pro, and I already have my order in on Amazon.
Oh, congratulations!
So yeah, that was because I got a 4K TV a couple months ago, and I'm like, all right, one of these days I'm going to get the Pro just to get the most out of it.
Yeah.
So that was my moment of okay, fine, I'm doing it.
Yeah, and honestly, like I said, it to me they executed it so well that it's going to be just a nice collector's item. Just once the PS4 is officially in the vintage asset class, I guess you could say, I'll still enjoy it. Yeah, that's it. That's the one. What do you think?
Yeah,
it looks kind of cool. Looks pretty. It's pretty red, that's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's a major departure from what the original PS4 looks like, but I dig it. I think it looks super cool, and I think I'm going to enjoy it for many years even after like it becomes like a glorified paperweight, I think it's still going to be really, really, really cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I like the system. I don't love the look of the controller, the red on the controller with the white buttons, but I agree. I love the look of the system itself.
Yeah. Now moving a bit over to Sideshow collectibles, which of course we don't cover too much on the show yet. That's going to be something that we're going to be doing a whole lot once we actually make the transition to video. But it's pointless to talk about it just when we're on an audio podcast. But it goes without saying, I absolutely love Sideshow collectibles. I have many statues that I've collected over the years. And it looked like this year in particular, they had quite a few statues that I was just on the limited amount of video that I saw. It looked like they had quite a few dynamic poses this year, especially with the X-Men characters. I noticed that there was like a Rogue that looked super cool. There was a Psylocke character that looked great. There was an X-23 that just looked amazing. That was kind of a companion piece to the Wolverine statue.
Was there a Gambit?
There was no Gambit.
I think Gambit would look good as a Sideshow collectible.
He would look. You're not the only one to say that. Actually, there are several people who have been clamoring for a Gambit to be able to have proper representation. But no, it just seemed like the Magneto one I wasn't too crazy about. But in terms of all the other characters that I did see, I was very impressed with just the kind of the X-Men lineup that they had. And each year they'll come out with like, oh, here's like 3 or 4 new ones. And of course, because there are so many characters within X-Men, you can just continue to just kind of enjoy that trickle. But I think definitely Rogue. Rogue is one of my favorite X-Men. Ever since I read the comic, I always loved the character Rogue. And I feel like that statue really did a nice job representing the character. But of course, Brad, you were there. What did you think of it?
I didn't spend as much time in Sideshow as I probably would have liked to. The X-Men line as a whole looks pretty solid. So, their big focus still seems to be the Court of the Dead. They had a few new poses on some of those as well. Yeah, very much so. So saw some nice ones there.
There was a female character that I didn't recognize who she was. And I can't remember exactly what her name is, but I remember like one of her hands was almost see-through. Is that part of the Court of the Dead or is that a different character?
I have no idea what you're talking about, Russell.
Oh, I've actually seen something that Bradley has not. Very interesting.
Well, you didn't describe it with a whole lot of detail. I got, there's a woman character who has a hand.
There's a chick.
I don't know what her name is. I don't know what line it is part of, but it may or may not.
The biggest part was that one of her hands and forearms was like see-through, which was very different considering that you don't really see that with statues, like in terms of like the materials that they use. And I don't recognize her. I mean, I'm pretty competent when it comes to like the different comic book characters. And with her, I was like, man, she struck me basically as an original idea from Sideshow. And I don't know if it was necessarily a part of the Court of the Dead line or if it was something else that they were doing entirely. Like there was a Rebel Terminator that I saw that I think was a part of their Mythos line. Is that right?
I saw the Rebel Terminator. I don't know if it was Mythos or not. Their booth was, let me just say their booth was not as well organized as prior years.
Oh, that sucks.
So in the past, and it was because they brought more stuff. So plus and minus, right? In the past, their booth was fairly open. Kind of, it's a bigger booth. It's one of the biggest booths on the floor.
Yeah.
You can get in from any direction and, just kind of look at stuff. This year, about 50% of their booth from the outside was blocked off by displays.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing they did is they had a lot of signings going with some of the different artists as they're continuing to grow their premium art print brand. And so that would take a portion of the booth as well. And then they had photo sessions with, different costumed characters. And that was a portion of the booth. It was not a very easy booth to just kind of hang out in and absorb what they had. So yeah, I don't remember specifically what line the Terminator one was part of. But I do remember seeing that one as well, and that was pretty cool. So
I thought from the pictures, it was a really nice statue.
Yeah, I mean, Sideshow does a fantastic job. I mean, that goes without saying that they do a nice job there.
Yeah. And of course, I have to thank you yet again for humoring me. I found out that Huntress was done by Prime One Studio, which is one of my all-time favorite statue manufacturers, and I guess it was part of the Jim Lee Batman Hush comic book storyline, and I guess they're doing all these different characters. And just from your video, I was like, oh, man. I am really, really happy about this because Huntress actually never made it into the Rocksteady Studios games. If you recall, no. Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. And I was really surprised, especially with Arkham Knight, because I was very much anticipating that she would make a cameo of sorts, and she never did. And so as a result, like with me, like that is one of the lines that I'm collecting personally. Is I absolutely love the Arkham Knight collection that Prime One Studios has been working on. And I really do believe that when I pre-order that one is going to make just a perfect addition to kind of the Arkham Knight line that I have. Because really, when I look at it, it has kind of an Arkham Knight style to the character itself. Did you feel that way when you were looking at it, Brad, in person, or did you think it was a departure? No,
I absolutely thought that everything they had there as part of the Hush line could have fit into a Rocksteady Batman game. Okay. It definitely had that style. It had that look. I totally agree with you. Yeah, I will be definitely pre-ordering that on day one because it's a gorgeous statue. It's going to make, like I said, it's going to help round out the characters within that line that I'm going for. But jumping back really quick to the X-Men statues, I noticed that there was kind of a trend with Sideshow this year in the sense that they were really trying to give that more mid-flight or jumping in the air kind of feel. It was almost like they were able to discover a new way of engineering these statues to be able to have like a considerable amount of the mass of the statue look like it's like floating in the air. And I know that there was one that was done by, I think it was based off of a Stanley Art Germ Lau print, and it's of Supergirl. And that one also, like, again, just judging from the limited amount of what I saw, it actually looked pretty cool. Yeah, that was one that stood out. I enjoy Art Germ's work as much as you do, and so I definitely wanted to seek that one out. I was really impressed with what Sideshow was able to capture on that one. It really does have a very dynamic look. It looks like she's midair. It was fantastic. I know that you're kind of maxing out on the space in your house in terms of, because you also have a considerable amount of statues in your repertoire. But having said that, were there any statues that you saw that you're thinking, oh, you know what, I got to add that to the collection? There were a couple that I'm going to go back and kind of look at and potentially order. They had some smaller scale Court of the Dead statues, rather than going with the quarter scales, they were even smaller. So a bit more affordable as well. So I'm going to take a look at some of those. I might do the Supergirl from Art Germ there. But yeah, there were quite a few that I was impressed with, and could be ordering in the near future. The Court of the Dead has been where I've put most of my purchase power in the recent years. So I will probably be ordering a couple different poses from some of the characters there, but that's kind of what I'm looking at. So what are some of the other big announcements that you heard about or that you witnessed while you were at Comic-Con? I went to one panel, and this fits well with your podcast here. It was the Sea of Thieves panel, where they spent a bit of time talking about the upcoming Cursed Sails expansion. That was actually a really cool panel to sit in on. Freddie Prinze Jr. was the moderator of the panel. Oh my gosh. Which was kind of funny because, at one point he talked about his age, and he's basically my age. And I'm like, wow, okay, that my world just changed. Okay. But he was telling some stories about, his experience playing the game. I guess he's a big player on Sea of Thieves. And, it was funny. It was a lot of the stories that I've heard from you guys. So, he was telling a story once about, he was online and there was this kid and, he's in his crew and this kid who clearly had no idea what he was doing. And they went over and, he goes, Sea of Thieves really lets people tell you who they are.
Yeah.
Are they naturally good? Are they naturally rogues? Are they, really, who are they? What are they going to do here? And this kid was just struggling. And so, they gave him some tips, and the kid's like, hey, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. And a couple minutes later, the kid sails off. Life is good. And, they're going around a corner, and all of a sudden this pirate crew is coming to hunt them down. And next thing they know, this kid comes charging in. I saw you guys. I'm here to help. And he's got
awesome
TNT, strapped to the front of his ship, and he just rams this other ship, and there's an explosion, and the kid's ship is going down, and he's like, all right, guys, I'm logging off. Thanks. And so as he's sinking into the ground, he's waving at him. And,
funny.
he came in and saved the day. And it was, we were all just dying. It was one of those where I haven't played very much Sea of Thieves, but it made me go, all right, I really get what the developers were going for here. And, they likened it to a playground, and just kind of talked about, we want you to make your own story. So it was just funny. It really did match up very well with what you guys have been saying about the game.
We need to get you in there, because I think you're going to be enjoying it quite a bit, especially considering that there has been a considerable amount of new DLC that's been dropping that kind of helps flesh the world out a bit more. And especially, I think the latest, was it Cursed Sails? I think it's supposed to be coming out, I'm not sure if it's this week or next week.
I think they said the 31st.
Okay.
So, yeah, but, by the end of the month, that's right around the corner here. So, yeah, no, we'll absolutely have to do that at some point, though, because I definitely want to hop in and check it out. And I went with our friend Chris, and he's like, that sounds fun. I think I need to try that game. So,
sweet. Yeah, it'd be great to have him in there
as well. So,
does he have an Xbox?
Oh, yeah.
He does?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, for some reason
yes,
I knew he had a PS4, but I couldn't remember if he had an Xbox.
Oh, yes. Chris plays very many games.
Oh, very good.
So, but yeah, that was really the big one. I didn't go to a whole lot of other panels. I didn't see a whole lot from an announcement standpoint. We got back this afternoon and just unpacked the car and trying to get the feet rested, and that's been about it.
Now, of course, before we go away from Sea of Thieves, you also texted me a certain picture that indicated that you scored a pretty exclusive piece of Sea of Thieves swag.
Yeah, so for going to the panel, they distributed DLC cards for a Joanna Dark inspired, Perfect Dark inspired mast, or ship head, or what are those things called? I'm blanking on it. But
what is it called,
Steve? At the front of the boat with the person on it. Yeah,
it's like the masthead or figurehead, or
it's a hood ornament. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. It's the hood ornament for the ship.
Yes.
So those are pretty cool, and those were just given out to the folks who attended the panel. So you're not going to see a ton of them out there, but there are probably a couple hundred people in there. So yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's definitely been a different Comic-Con experience than in the past. I mean, just to your point, I think due to the raffle system, it has really changed the dynamic, where in the past it was all about how hardcore of a fan are you? Are you willing to spend the night in a particular line, or are you willing to get up super early, like get in line at like 3 a.m. or 2 a.m., something like that. And I remember even when I was going year after year, there was a bit of a competitive vibe that was occurring every year. And everybody, as a kind of a general body of 140,000 or however many people are there, it was kind of this collective consciousness where like everyone said, okay, next year we're going to be more hardcore than this year. Mm-hmm. And so as a result, no one really got ahead because everybody just strategized the exact same way. And so it's really interesting to hear you talk about how this year it sounded more like you just kind of walked around and if you happened to stumble upon something that was going on that you were able to get in on, that's fine. But otherwise, there weren't as many of the big drawings. Because I remember back in the day, we would have all kinds of drawings for the like 20th Century Fox or WB, so on and so forth. And then you'd be able to actually get quite a few of those signings, which was always a kind of an exciting moment of the day kind of thing. But yeah, it sounds very different. And I'm actually surprised too at the level of presence that the video game companies have there, because it sounds as though they definitely are taking more of a vested interest. And of course, I did notice too that Greg Miller, he actually was emceeing some of the Hall H stuff that was going on. That was a kind of a first time thing. It does make me wonder if perhaps he was tapped to possibly run this thing, just because I think that tends to be more of a Chris Hardwick deal, more, kind of a gig that he does, and due to a lot of what's been going on lately in his life and what's happened with like kind of an ex-girlfriend, I believe it was. I wonder if now Greg Miller has been given the opportunity to fill in.
Well, and I don't know that Chris Hardwick didn't traditionally do the video game panels. He would do The Walking Dead, and he would do a couple of the others. Greg Miller did the Marvel Games panel. Okay. There's different moderators for every panel. Yvette Nicole Brown replaced Chris Hardwick on the Walking Dead panel, and I mean, she's replacing him on Talking Dead, at least on a what do they call it, interim basis, and that's a nice way of saying we're going to wait to see how things blow over.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, Greg Miller obviously has a good following, has a good reputation in that space. I think he's moderated panels at Comic-Con before. I don't know that he's done, something like the Marvel one.
Okay.
Larry Herb Major Nelson has done the Xbox panel in the past. They didn't do a true Xbox panel this year. It's just the Sea of Thieves one. So it kind of depends on the year, but yeah, I mean, I feel like the video game companies, like you said, they've got a good presence there. They didn't have the Xbox lounge that they've had before, where, it was the whole room with 30 different games, that hasn't been there the last few years. Nintendo still had their lounge over at the Marriott next door. So, I mean, there's definitely a presence.
Yeah. One of the more on the movie side of things, one that I would be really trying to get if I was there was the Venom signing. I heard that Tom Hardy actually made an appearance, and he autographed Venom posters for a lucky selection. I don't even know how many people they let in for that. But it looked like they gave like these cool handkerchief bandana things that you could wear across your face, and it's almost like what like motorcyclists would wear, when they're going out and biking stuff. But it turned your mouth into the Venom mouth. It was pretty cool. But anyway, like they actually had some video footage of Tom Hardy coming in. He's just all casually dressed, and he sits down. He's giving like fans high fives and handshakes and stuff, and signing this thing. I was like, man, how cool would it be? Because I mean, Steve, you can jump in on this. I mean, we're both big Tom Hardy fans. I mean, It doesn't have to be just limited to Venom, but of course, also he was in Batman, of course. And then, I'm totally blanking on it, but it was the World War II film.
Dunkirk.
Yeah. And of course, Inception. I mean, there are tons of movies that he's been in that I think I would be pretty giddy. I'd probably be grinning like an idiot watching him sign the poster.
He's grinning ear to ear, high hand of a poster. Here you go. Sorry, I don't know what to say, Tom. I'm Russ.
I get all cotton mouthy and my breath's all terrible.
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen to our show.
So were there any other comments that you wanted to make, Bradley, or does that pretty much sum it up for you?
That pretty much sums it up for me. The last thing I'll say, and then I'll drop off and let you guys wrap up your podcast here. But you two need to be here next year. At the very least, you need to do WonderCon or some of the small to mid-sized conventions we have out here in Southern California. There were folks promoting everything from podcasts to art to you name it. So start planning now. Joygasm, San Diego Comic-Con 2019. It needs to happen.
I think you're onto something. Boy. We'll have to take a look at that.
Bring plenty of Red Bulls.
So there you go. Well, hey guys, thank you for having me. It is 6:22 out here in California, and I'm going to bed because enough.
All right. Thanks a lot, Brad.
See you, Brad.
All right, guys. Hey, have a good one. We'll talk to you later.
See ya. Well, that is quite a difference, I gotta say.
What a weekend. So that whole thing is like just a weekend, or is it a whole week?
Well, okay, so the way it works is that you have what's called preview night, which is on Wednesday. And usually you'll have about 4 hours.
Oh, so it starts Wednesday.
Kind of.
Okay.
A very limited amount of people can actually go to preview night, which is great because that means that the floor is not flooded with bodies. You can actually...
Crud.
Yeah, yeah. The comic crud has not reached critical mass yet. But what's nice about it is that it allows you to strategize what you're going to be doing for kind of like the half week that you're there.
Right.
Because it goes from Wednesday night and then you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So you have 4 full days of Comic-Con madness. And so for like myself, for instance, Artist Alley is one of my favorite parts of Comic-Con because especially when you go to San Diego, you have legit artists that work for gaming companies or movie studios or whatever. They will have a booth and they will be selling some of their prints that you can get. They'll sign it for you. Or if you're lucky enough, if you catch one early on, some of them will actually do commissions where like you pay them a certain amount of money and within like a day or two, they'll actually have a commission piece for you, which I've like in the past. One of my favorite artists is Alvin Lee, who, for those of you who play Street Fighter, he was one of the main concept designers for that. And he currently works over at Riot Games right now. But I was able to get a commission from him one year of Batman and the following year Catwoman. And I feel very, very fortunate because I don't think he actually attends SDCC, at least over the past several years. So I know he's extremely busy. He's got stuff going on all the time, but it's great to be able to have that within my collection, of course. But
yeah, a buddy of mine had an artist. He didn't say who he was there, but he had him draw a little custom something for him right there on the spot that he bought.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
And of course, we didn't really talk about this when Brad was on the phone, but going back to Stanley Lau, he goes by the name Art Germ. He was there. He's been there year after year, and he will oftentimes bring his prints with him. And so Brad was kind enough to actually go over and score me some prints to add to my Art Germ collection because the guy is so talented.
Or steal.
Got it. Got maced in the face.
And then he just got hidden in the crowd. No one knew what happened.
Score. But yeah, it does sound a lot different with this raffling system, and I don't know what to make of it, honestly. Yeah. I've been conditioned to get up crazy early, pick which lines I want based on which movies or TV shows are going to be there, and then try my luck at drawing at it. And I've had some good successes in the past. I've gotten quite a few posters signed by different folks who I thought I would never meet in my lifetime, and it was just a fun opportunity. But this raffling system, I suppose I would be okay with just because I'm not as young and sprightly as I once was. So therefore, I'm probably not as willing to wait in line or spend the night on the ground and that sort of thing. So I don't know. I suppose you and I will. First of all, you need to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
Whatever.
If for nothing else, I just want to just see how you're able to cope with it.
I'm not.
But
man,
it will be a lot of fun for the two of us to be able to go and cover it for Joygasm. One of the other things that I thought we could take a look at is at San Diego Comic-Con, of course, you have the huge movie studios and they're making their big announcements for certain films. Mm-hmm. So at this one in particular, there were 4 big trailers that dropped. One was for Aquaman, which is coming out later this year.
Put that on our Facebook, by the way.
Oh, thank you, Steve.
You're welcome, Russ.
I have watched it once. Have you watched it, Steve?
Yes, Russ.
Okay.
And I think I know what all the rest of them you're going to say. Godzilla and was Shazam.
I don't know if it's pronounced Shazam or Shazam. We've talked about this on the program before.
It's Shazoo. And there was Teen Titans.
So there was Teen Titans, but the other one I was going to say is that there is an updated trailer to Fantastic Beasts 2.
Oh, I think I haven't seen that one, but I saw that it was out. Yeah.
Well, I thought Steve,
What,
because
Russ?
I have only seen the trailer to Aquaman, but I do think it's important that we do watch it just so we can give our kind of impressions of the film itself. But I thought that we could watch those 4 trailers right now. Which one do you want to start with?
Let's see. Show me the one I haven't seen yet. Show me the Beasts.
The Fantastic Beasts. All right, let me get it queued up.
Wasn't there a movie that was called? What was it called? Either like Sexy Beast or something Beast. It was a.
Oh yeah.
I'll have to MDib it.
Yeah. Anyway, this is the second trailer here, and let's take a look.
I'm scared, Professor Dumbledore.
Everyone is scared of something.
Ridiculous!
Newt, you're up next. That's an unusual one. What Mr. Scamander fears above everything else is...
Having to work in an office, sir.
Go ahead, Newt.
Ridiculous!
Magic blooms only in rare souls. Still, we must skulk in shadows. But the old ways serve us no longer.
We've heard the rumors. Grindelwald had a vision that he would rise to dominance over the wizarding world.
So you're asking me to help hunt him down?
I can't move against Grindelwald. It has to be you. In your shoes, I'd probably refuse to. It's late. Good evening, Newt. Oh, come on.
You underestimate your talents, Mr. Scamander.
Their arrogance is the key to our victory.
Muggles are not lesser. Not disposable.
You're too good, Newt. You never met a monster you couldn't love.
Prudence!
Mr. Scamander, do you think Dumbledore will mourn for you?
Are you a ghost?
No, I'm alive. But I'm an alchemist and therefore immortal.
Oh,
Nicola Flamel.
Jacob Kowalski.
Oh!
You don't look a day over 375.
That actually looks really good, in my opinion.
I don't know about that one, Russ.
Let me ask you a question.
No.
I'm going to ask it to you anyway. Have you ever been a fan of the Harry Potter movies?
No, not really.
Have you watched any of the Harry Potter movies?
Only the first.
Only the first one?
Yeah, I went with a friend of mine back in around, when was that out? Around 2000 or so? 2001, 2, 3, 1, around there.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just couldn't get into it. I saw it, it was whatever. I mean, it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't my thing.
Yeah.
And then the second one came out, everyone went nuts, and I thought, well, I didn't really like the first one enough to see the second one. So
interesting. I have seen all of them. I thought they were fun. I think that in terms of the movies themselves, I wanted them to get a little deeper. they kind of almost they felt like they were spinning their wheels at times. They got a little stuck in the mud.
It seems like it was the Lord of the Rings for the little kids with more magic.
Kinda. I mean, to be fair, those films were geared a bit more toward children. But like I said, I thought they were decent. I thought they were fun for what they were. If it were up to me, I think it would have been fun to have dived a bit deeper with like the character journeys and that sort of thing. But I have not seen the first Fantastic Beasts movie. This is, of course, the sequel. And I mean, visually speaking, there's a lot of creativity going on in there. If you're not interested in going to see that movie, Steve, maybe I'll take the wife and we'll go. I guess check it out.
She likes the Harry Potter.
Actually, I don't know. I know that she has seen a couple of the films herself. I think she is curious to see the rest of the series of Harry Potter. In terms of the Fantastic Beasts, I'll have to ask her. Maybe I'll solo it. You never know. And if I can't get someone to go, I'll just go myself.
That'd be a self date.
It's gonna be one of those like, I'm gonna be by myself in the theater. I don't want anyone else around. I'm just gonna watch a movie and eat some popcorn.
Self, would you like a drink? Yeah, Self, that sounds like a great idea. You're so generous. You're welcome. Self, would you like some of my popcorn?
I think instead I would like a tasty treat. Oh, Self.
Maybe some milk duds. Maybe some peanut M&Ms. Those are always good.
Can't go wrong with the peanut M&Ms for sure. Okay, so what trailer would you like to see next?
Let's see. I've seen the Aquaman. I posted it. I've seen the Godzilla one.
I have not seen the Godzilla one.
Okay, well, let's show that one then, Russ.
Let me cue up the old Godzilla
on the thing. Hopefully, not advertisement and nothing beginning. Okay, here we go.
No, we're all good, Steve.
Our world is changing.
Recognize her?
I do.
The mass extinction we feared has already begun, and we are the cause. We are the infection. But like all living organisms, the Earth unleashed a fever to fight this infection. Its original and rightful rulers,
Claire de Lune,
the Titans. For thousands of years, these creatures have remained in hiding around the world. And unless all the Titans are found, our planet will perish, and so will we. They are the only guarantee that life will carry on.
The king.
Well, that looks a bit like a popcorn fest. Not really much in the way of deep plot, but I actually enjoyed the first Godzilla movie quite a bit. And again, it's not like some deep film or anything like that, but I definitely enjoyed the visual spectacle of the whole thing. I definitely liked that Godzilla more than there was a Godzilla movie that came back at was 1999 or 2000, and that one was not very good.
I didn't see any of them. So I'll have to take your word for it. Yeah, no, that one looks like a special effects fest, and not much of a story. I mean, I kind of heard the humans are the infection, and quite a few different times.
Oh, sorry,
just
queuing up the next one.
Jump the gun a bit, Russ.
Sorry.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, the cast, of course, contains quite a few folks who I always enjoy seeing on screen. Yeah, it didn't look like I said, like a particularly deep movie, but I think it's going to be just park your brain at the door, have a fun time, watch as the devastation and destruction.
It's going to be on IMAX, so
Well, are you willing to see that with me, Steve?
Perhaps. I'll have to wait till it gets closer.
You tease, Steve.
I am a tease.
So the third one here is, again, it's either Shazam or Shazam. I've got to figure this out because that's one of these things that just drives me up the wall. But let's
just
take a look.
You've run from foster homes in 6 counties.
I can take care of myself.
When you're 18, give these people a chance, because that's what they're giving you.
This is Billy Batson. Make sure you make him feel at home.
They seem nice, but don't buy it. It gets real Game of Thrones around here. Dude, just messing around. You look at me and you're like, why so dark? You're a disabled foster kid. You've got it all. If you could have one superpower, what would you pick? Everybody chooses flight. You know why?
So they can fly away from this conversation?
No, because heroes fly.
What, you need your fake family to stand up for you? Hey! Man, sorry about that. Go! Grab it! Get out the way!
Billy Batson. I choose you as champion.
Hello?
Say my name so my powers may flow through you.
But I don't know your name, sir.
Shazam.
There you go.
Wait, for real? Say, okay! Shazam?
This means Billy!
What is happening?
You're the only person I know that knows anything about this Cape Crusader stuff.
Can I...
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy, right?
What are your superpowers?
Superpowers, dude? I don't even know how to pee in this thing.
AM to the PM, PM to the AM.
You have super strength!
You just got.
Can you fly?
If I quit your PM, I still rock Mercedes. If I quit this season, I still be the greatest.
You okay? Why are you talking?
Be humble. Sit down.
I don't think that's gonna buff out.
Your phone's charged. Your phone's charged.
The hell?
You're like a bad guy, right?
Shazam!
Gentlemen!
You have bullet immunity!
I'm bulletproof.
You're dead.
Sorry about your window.
Have a good night.
You're welcome for not getting robbed. Oh, hey, what's up? I'm a superhero.
Again, another one for the kids.
I think that one could actually be pretty fun. You know, the guy who plays Shazam, and thank God I now know how to pronounce it, is Levi, who actually was the host of Nerd HQ. And Nerd HQ was something that would go on at San Diego Comic-Con.
You didn't know how to pronounce Levi, Russ?
What?
You said, thank God I know how to pronounce it.
Oh, no, I was referring to Shazam. Because I keep going back and forth. Because so in Injustice 2, the video game, when I'm playing the character, he refers to himself as Shazam. But now in this movie, it's Shazam. So I'm just going to, moving forward, I shall always refer to him as Shazam.
Okay.
Unless otherwise legitimately corrected. But no, it looks like a lot of fun. Just to give you an idea, I don't know if I've ever told you about this, but he actually did this thing called Nerd HQ, which was actually a charity. And what he would do is, because he works in the entertainment industry, he would actually get other various celebrities to come on and just have their cameos. It's almost like a talk show kind of thing, but it would only occur, I believe, at SDCC. And so you'd have a bunch of fans who were at the Comic-Con, and they would make up this studio audience, and of course they taped it live, and I think they put it on YouTube and everything else. But the whole point of it was that all of the sponsorships, all the people who put money into it, that sort of thing, they would just donate 100% of the proceeds to some sort of thing like foster children or breast cancer or whatever it is. And so it was a really cool thing just to be able to participate in while you're having fun at Comic-Con. And so I'm happy to see that he's able to get into some sort of role like this. Now, I know that you and I have already seen Aquaman separately, but I think that you and I should see it together and be able to comment on it fresh.
Okay, Russ.
Okay, does that sound good to you? Love the green screen.
My father was a lighthouse keeper. My mother was a queen. But life is a way of bringing people together.
We could unite our worlds one day.
Check it out. Arthur is talking to the fish.
They made me what I am. Permission to come aboard.
I've been looking for you. Your half-brother, King Orm, is about to declare war upon the surface world.
The only way to stop this war is for you to take your rightful place as king.
Trust me, I am no king.
You do your best thinking when you're not thinking at all.
That was the worst pep talk ever.
Might want to strap in. Welcome home.
My brother has come from the surface. Challenge me for the throne.
I call it an ass whooping. I'm no leader. I came because I have no choice. I came to save my home and the people that I love.
You think you're unworthy to lead because you're of two different worlds. But that is exactly why you are worthy.
That was awesome.
The war is coming to the surface, and I'm bringing the wrath of the seven seas with me.
We're here.
What are you doing?
You should have a parachute.
Redheads, you gotta love them.
That looks really good.
Yeah, that's the movie they should have brought out before Justice League.
Absolutely. Yeah, they should have done the standalone films, and of course we talked about this back when we were talking about Justice League itself. But man, I think the biggest thing about this, and of course I'm the most excited for Aquaman out of the 4 trailers that we just watched. And that's saying something because in the past, Aquaman has always gotten such a bad rep, you know? People don't take him seriously. They think it's a kind of a goofy character. And I really do think that Jason Momoa has single-handedly completely turned that whole perception of Aquaman onto its ear. What do you think?
That's because the chicks dig him and the guys all want to be him. You know, Russ?
Thank you for that.
Oh, my gosh.
But I mean, I think he pulls off Aquaman, like the version of Aquaman as Jason Momoa, I for one can get behind. Like I can see him being this able-bodied person who's like this aquatic superhero of sorts. I mean, he effectively, having him in the role just silences all of that criticism, and instead now it's like, dude, I want to see the movie. I want to find out about this origin story, because for me, like, I never was into Aquaman. I mean, I'm a Batman guy, and so I don't really follow any kind of origin story of Aquaman or whatever, other than I know he's can swim in the ocean and he has a kingdom of sorts and he can talk to the sea life, that sort of thing. But are you interested in seeing it?
I am. And I hope they stick it true to the other origin stories that they had, where, the Batman movies were very well done, and the Man of Steel movies, in my opinion, were very well done. Some people didn't like them. I really liked them.
Yeah, I did too.
When they got all together for the Justice League, it was like everything was a toss up in the air of, let's just get it out before the Avengers so we can make a bunch of money, sort of thing. I thought, what happened?
Yeah.
So I hope they go back to their roots and bring out a really good movie. And some of the humor in there, it seemed like it was a little bit forced. So I hope they don't do it that way. You know my feelings about that. And if anybody has been listening to the show, they get where I'm coming from with the forced humor and the awkward humor and whatnot. So I do hope they keep it relatively serious with humor thrown in every once in a while for our, comic relief.
And Jason Momoa, like, I always loved his kind of like throw caution to the wind, party bruh kind of approach to the character itself. I get it. I know I've read online how some people are like, no, he's too much of a bruh. I'm like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's awesome. Like, I love, it's just who he is. I mean, he's not even like acting like that way. Have you ever seen some of his home videos? The dude is insane. He does all this crazy physical activity. Like, I've seen one where like he takes an axe and he like from far away, he throws this thing. He hits a bullseye every time.
Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah.
Or he'll like run and just jump off a cliff into the water, and he's just having fun swimming really, really deep without fins or snorkel or whatever. I mean, it's just like, man, this guy, like, he's perfect for this role. But
all that was a buildup just so he could get the role, Russ.
Dude, I'm telling you, I have respect for the guy. I think that it's, especially in today's world where, like, I, for one, don't really see too many male actors who have that kind of machismo in a way. It's not the annoying kind, but it's just that, like, real man's man kind of a thing. Like, Chris Hemsworth is another one where, like, him being Thor is just awesome. And of course, just a lot of, like, I follow him on Instagram. It's great to see him playing with his family. And of course, he's also very much an outdoorsy kind of guy and that sort of thing. So anyway, did you have any final thoughts regarding what you heard about with this year's Comic-Con?
Sounds like it's not as mayhem as it once was. Maybe they're trying to get it straightened out. I think they need to get it more straightened out. I mean, if somebody new like me, I mean, and they're not going to obviously, rearrange everything for, newbies, because a lot of folks who are committed to going, like Brad's going to go over the 10th year in a row next year. Good grief. So people are going to go regardless, but, I mean, I don't know. That question I asked Brad, when you spend the money and you go out there and you stay up all night and you're trying to get all this stuff that you want to get, like, well, at what point do you just say, yeah, I did it once and that's good enough? A buddy of mine went there and he was like, yeah, that was a crazy experience, but I don't know if I go again, just because of how they do everything, how like the systems are done with the lines and the swag, and everything's too much of a toss up where you're taking time off work, you're spending money here, you're spending money there, and I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, and I think too, when it comes to Comic-Con, I think in terms of your enjoyment, like what you get out of it, it definitely is an experience. It's not for everyone, because you really do have, I mean, it is the hardcore of the hardcore fans that go to this thing. Right. And they are willing to do just about anything in order to get that autograph or get that Comic-Con exclusive, that sort of thing. And even with us dedicating, we've been talking about it now for about an hour and a half. we have barely pecked the surface of just what was at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many things, whether it's piloted TV shows or like the Hall H. Like, for instance, there was footage that was played for Wonder Woman 1984. It's the sequel to the Wonder Woman movie. You know, Brad wasn't in Hall H. We have no way of looking at that, but
Right.
it was just for those people. So, and I imagine that we're probably going to continue to get more of the kind of the headlines or the announcements that were made at Comic-Con over the next, I would say, several weeks. And I think that it'll be fun to look at that. But yeah, it is amazing how it has turned into this amazing spectacle of sorts that covers not just comic books, but movies and video games, TV shows. One thing that I think is worth mentioning is that Stan Lee did not go to Comic-Con this year. And that's a big deal. He actually had a video that he posted on social media where he was at home and he was just saying, "Oh, I wish I could be there, but I can't." Honestly, I think it's because his health is failing.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate that that's the case. But I think he has officially gotten to the point where he's too old to be able to travel to places like that, which is crazy because if I'm thinking about this accurately, I believe he does live in California. I don't think he lives like on the East Coast or anything. I think he is in California, and I do believe he's probably in Southern California somewhere.
Well, I think at the rate they're pumping out these Marvel films, and I mean, I'm sure Disney has him right there in the chair telling him what's what with the comics and what made it popular and whatever. At his age, you only got so much energy.
Yeah.
And you can't be flying all over the place more than you already are. At some point, you just want to be at home and stick with family and rest and whatever.
Well, I think that wraps up this episode of Joygasm. Make sure you tune in next week, as of course we will have something else real fun to chat about. But I would like to thank all of you for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed this episode, we invite you to check out patreon.com/Joygasm. And how much could they pledge a month, Steve?
$1.
That's right. Just for $1 a month, you can get exclusive access and oftentimes early access to the show. Also, you can follow us on social media and YouTube. Just do a search for Joygasm TV. In addition to iTunes and Android, you can listen to our podcast on TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Spotify, and SoundCloud.com/Joygasm TV. Last but not least, search Joygasm TV on Twitch to see us stream our gaming adventures live every Wednesday night at 9:30 p.m. Central Time. And of course, we always welcome you to be able to come into the chat and be able to leave a little note or two. We'll see you next week. See ya.